this problem of immigration, this battle right now, especially in Florida. A lot of people are mad about certain types of people in our countries, but they're really not encapsulating the whole issue. So you'll get like a bunch of people who are pro-Israel, really mad about Islamic invasion going on. And look, there's a lot of truth to that. What they're talking about, the depth of Islamic intervention in Europe, some of these Islamic diasporas, especially from Northern Africa, in like the Algerians and whatnot, in France, having a massive increase in gang violence right now. I don't know if you guys have seen. There's been dozens of murders, especially down in Versailles, near Versailles, down in the trenches. There's been so many more gangs popping up, causing drive-bys and narcotics distribution, and that's happening right in West. And then, of course, in the East, in the Central, you have Germany, which is now like 14-15% in some places, Muslim, and even in Sweden, where it's already up to like 30%. But of course, the problem with all this is that then you have our side who's like, hey, you guys are just talking about Islam because you're trying to distract from the real issue, which is Zionist money in politics. And that's also not true, too. It's like, you're right, too, guys. You're right. That is an issue. The point is there's a lot of issues, right? We need to realize that there's a complex amount of issues, and people are trying to get us to focus on something only, so we ignore something else. It's like, well, focus on Somalians. Why? They want us focusing on Somalians so we don't talk about the real issue in the room, the Indians that are coming in, the H-1Bs, what's going on. A lot of these things are giving you a bone so that you don't talk about what's really happening and what's really going on. And I brought this up because talks are back here in the media that they're going to be switching up James Bond again. I know this is an older article here, but I saw some leaks that they're still trying to push this, right? They're still trying to push a black lesbian woman as the next James Bond. Nobody wants it. Nobody likes it. Nobody's happy about it. And quite frankly, it'll probably hurt the brand, their company, but it's about the agenda. And that's why we're starting here. Everything in 2026 from here on out for them is going to be the agenda first, cost later. I have to say this. I want to start with Aaron here, and you guys can jump in at any point now after that monologue. But we're going into 2026, and our enemies have an agenda, and they are willing to waste their money, kill their people, and kill our people, right? AmFest is coming up. They'll kill our people. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. They will kill our people. Whether I agreed with him on some issues, it doesn't matter. He was our people. Ultimately, we disagreed on an important issue, but he was still someone. He was our American person. They're willing to murder our people. 9/11 is a good example to achieve their goal. And right now, with this immigration issue, I think this is one of the hottest issues that is going on right now. I think that nobody is being extremely honest about what's going on, minus a few commentators who are out there. But like I've said, my favorite commentators are too busy fighting each other on X to really, try to unify and make an impact. Aaron, I want to go to you. You're fighting against Randy Fine. Randy Fine has historically been one of the worst offenders of trying to get America to support foreign nations instead of support this country. Do you agree with me on that? What is your thoughts on the fact that people like Randy Fine, their agenda first before their America first? Our agenda is going to be first, but our agenda is going to be America first. That is our agenda. That's what we're going to stick to. What do you think about that?
Well, our agenda is the American people. It's very clear. It's plain and simple. Tonight I was in Mount Dora at an art festival, and my agenda is to connect and to learn the issues that everyday Americans face. When we go to the gas station and gas is $2.79 a gallon. When we go to when I buy dog food and it's $24 a bag for a 5.5 pound bag of dog food. Those are real world issues. And I think we've got to a point where people understand we do not want, an undisclosed number of H-1B visas handed out year after year after year. And we don't want 600,000 Chinese students here. It's at some point in our country, we have to have people that believe that our best days are ahead of us and that we need to take care of Americans. I don't get where we lost our way, but I mean, it's very clear that the money in politics, not just from Zionists, but from every special interest group, are completely ruling our political class right now. Let me give you a good example of that. Yesterday, Congressman Fine posted something that he was going to co-sponsor a bill to end greyhound racing in the United States. Okay, it sounds, well, whatever. Kind of off the wall for him. So I'm like, well, why is this even of interest to him? Well, it's already illegal in Florida, and I think it's only legal in one state in the entire nation. So, he said something about ending simulcast betting and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so then I go back and look at his campaign finance. Well, guess who donated $47,000 to his campaign? The Seminole Tribe of Florida. Well, what does the Seminole Tribe of Florida not have? Greyhound racing. So they don't want greyhound racing. They want every other type of gambling possible. I mean, Mr. Fine made his $30 million that's his current net worth in the gambling industry. I say stealing nickels from little old ladies. I'm sure he has a different version of that. But it all goes back to where does the money come from? I mean, the money comes from every special interest group on the planet. And we, as the American people, are sick and frickin' tired of funding $800 million for Ukraine, another $560 million for Israel. We talk about shrimp on a treadmill, and I think we've gotten a little bit better, but these huge numbers, $800 million. Do you know what $800 million would do across every congressional district? I need $12 million a year, every year guaranteed for beach renourishment in Flagler County, specifically Flagler Beach. And they're going to have to do one of two things. They're either going to have to do raise property tax or raise the sales tax. Well, no one wants property tax raised, but the county commissioners don't want to raise the sales tax. So our federal government needs to step up, help the people here, instead of sending all of our freaking money overseas. That's the plain and simple of it.
Yeah, I happen to agree with that. I want to bring something up here about what's going on here with all this stuff. They're talking about what's going on publicly, that we don't want people that are America first. I want to break this down. Later in the show, by the way, we have around hour 2, we have Tim Gordon coming in to talk about his new film, What is a Woman, on the Candace Owens Network. It's their own version, really talking about this, not from like a rage bait position, but we're in a dire position right now where we are being demonized in our own homes. Dries Van Legenhove, I believe it is, had posted this update. I don't know if you guys saw this, but right here on one of the bridges, and this is a normal bridge in Rotterdam, 2 young men projected White Lives Matter on a bridge in Rotterdam, and they lost their appeal, and their 6 months prison sentence was reaffirmed. Dutch media are calling this a light sentence. So they actually had just projected onto a bridge, White Lives Matter. This is not a joke here. This is I was following this and tracking this. And not only did they get 6 months in jail, we're seeing this all across Europe, all across the internet. And actually, I responded to this publicly, and I said, white men are going to prison for saying their lives still matter in their home country. Well, non-white rapists and violent assaulters are let off with probation, no prison sentence. This is anti-white insanity. And Elon Musk actually ended up liking it as well and interacting with it, which is interesting because, he is the recordable richest person in the world. And he's even realizing like, hey, I got kids, I got people. This is getting really bad, right? Like the effect of everything. We're going to talk about the immigration. We're going to talk about the welfare. We're going to talk about what's going on. We've really got to solve this issue because like every institution is against us, and they're already ready to flood the country with more people. And when they get the numbers, they're going to put their boot on our neck. They're going to make it that being in your existence, that you are only here to have wealth extracted from you. Like, white man, listen, your job is going to be like when you watch, Mad Max or something, and you have the moms that are getting milked, and they're like the milking farms, and they're these disgusting fat people, and they're just giving their milk and giving their milk. This is like I forget who it was that fell for the masturbation machine video as well on X. This is like what people lie about the past. Individuals are just going to say, look, you are here to work, to shut up. We're going to use your beautiful aspects of your culture, that you're civil, that you're respectful, that you keep to yourself, that you work well together. And we're going to use that so that you keep driving innovation, that you keep working enough just so that we can support our country, but we're going to fuck up the country enough so that when you try to step out of line, or even just maybe say, can I have some more food? Like an Oliver Twist moment. Can I just have some more, please? Just a little more soup. You're going to not just go to get in trouble. You are already getting fired now. They're going to put you in prison. I just want you to know that. They're going to just start using prisons to hold people like internment camps for any type of white solidarity. And I think that's why a lot of people like Elon, like myself, this is not a white supremacist thing anymore. This is not a neo-Nazi derivative that we're all building off of. We are normal people, American people. When we say American, the majority being white Americans who realize that this attempted replacement and what's going on is already on test mode in Europe. It's on test mode with Daniel Penny in New York. But if we do not solve this, it's not just our tax dollars that are going to be spent. Our lives, our children's freedom is in jeopardy, and everyone's got to start speaking out. Everybody's got to start lifting their voice. People have to stop trying to be like this guy or let him talk about it. No, everybody needs to get vocal, use your platforms, get out, speak, and make people uncomfortable. Because if we don't do it, guys, we are in a fight for our survival. Postman, you know that all too well. Unfortunately, for the future, you also happen to be white too. So it looks like you're in the same boat that Aaron and I are in. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
We have a fever pitch in America of just complete white hatred. And I think to a certain extent, they're almost overplaying their hand, because white young men, especially Gen Z, were raised in a culture where they're taught to be colorblind. They're taught to not see their own identities, to almost be ashamed of their identities. But every other people we interact with, whatever minority they are, they're told that they can be proud of themselves, they can be proud of their history, and we're not receiving any of that. And as this fever pitch of white hatred, it was brainwashed into our head, gets to just nauseating levels. Young people are just young white men are just like, what's going on? we can't have this. We don't want to be in a country that hates us. We don't want a society that hates us. And whenever they try to speak out against the hate that's coming towards them, they're labeled as neo-Nazis. I was labeled as a neo-Nazi. Other people that just say, hey, I am not ashamed to be a white person. I'm not ashamed to be European. They're labeled as a neo-Nazi. Just the very fact that we don't live in shame and fear of our own people, of our own history, we're labeled as these horrible things and deplatformed from every single platform. But they can't stop it, because there's this rise in young men that just can't be stopped.